I'll just do 6 questions, so hopefully by the end of these 6 you should be able to tackle most of the ones that James is going to meet coming up. Later on I want to do some more sort of complicated stuff, which is no really more complex than this, but will hopefully just move forward for a long time, be helpful for a long time. So the first one here, you can think of this as 5x add 1 equals 16, can be thought of as, in words, I take a number and times it by 5, then add 1 to it and I get the answer 16, or some way of some real life situation which can make this, which you can reduce into this algebra. 5 times a number plus 1 equals 16. The second one would be I double a number, then subtract 3 from it and I get 7. A sentence for question 3 would be I take a number, I add 1 to it, and then I double it and I get the answer 6. That might be wrapped up in some real life situation. James has got a certain number of coins. He adds 1 coin, then doubles the amount of coins he's got in his hand, and then he has 6 coins in his hand. How many did he have in the first place? So there are ways of turning, so you get some real life scenario which you then reduce to algebra, which you then solve using algebraic techniques, and that's a big huge chunk of what algebra is. And it doesn't really need loads of times tables to remember, which is something that you're going to be struggling with now since you're doing the division and mixed fractions, James, as you know. Since you started doing that, you realise that you do need to know the times tables. But at this point, algebra is the most important thing that you would have done so far in maths. And you know, if you get really good at algebra, you'll have a lot less. You'll be able to go a long way in maths and physics, science for that matter. It's kind of the cornerstone of the subject. Later on, especially. Unfortunately, you've still got to do a lot of number crunching and sort of non-algebra topics. But if you can get good at rearranging algebra, which is what I did when I was exactly your age, then I've said this to you 100 times already, like a whole range of stuff later on will not become difficult for you, and you'll be very good at it. So I'll just solve these 6 and talk about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So the first one, sentence, so we're trying to solve question 1 here, get for x on its own, solve for x. First thing that happens is it's multiplied by 5, second thing that happens is you add 1 to it. We do inverse operations in reverse order. Fancy way of just saying if it's added we minus, if it's times we divide, if it's divided we times, and if it's subtracted we add, and if it's squared we square root. So we get, first thing we get rid of is the second thing that happened to it, which is plus 1. The opposite of plus 1 is minus 1. So we get 5x. After we take away, we do plus 1 minus 1, the plus 1 disappears. 16 take away 1 is 15. And then we've got 5 times x is multiplied by 5. The opposite of timesing 5 is divide by 5. X is equal to 15. The whole of the right hand side divided by 5. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 3 times 5 is 15. So that gives us our answer. X is 3. We can check that that's right by putting x is 3 back into there. 5 times 3 plus 1 is 15 plus 1, which is 16, which is right. Okay, the second one, you're trying to get x on its own, so you take x, you double it, and then you take away 3 from it. Do the opposite of taking away 3 first, so you do them in reverse order. Opposite of taking away 3 is adding 3. 2x is 7 add 3, which is 10. Then we get rid of multiplying by 2. The opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. 10 divided by 2. And we get the solution, x is 10 divided by 2 is 5. Half of 10 is 5. Solution. Question 3. First thing that happens to x is you add 1 to it and then you double it. You do things in reverse order. We get rid of the doubling, which is dividing both sides by 2. X plus 1 is equal to 6 divided by 2, which is equal to 3. you can put a string of equal signs together. If this is equal to this is equal to this, and we can have extra equal signs. Solution to this one, x is 3. That's the value of x that makes this thing work. Question 4. The first thing that happens to x is we add 3 to it, and then when you've got worked that out, you divide by 2. So we unwrap these things in reverse order. So the first thing we get rid of is the 2. The opposite of dividing by 2 is multiplying by 2. X plus 3 is equal to 2 times 2, which is 4. Then we kill plus 3 by minusing 3 from both sides, subtracting 3. 4 to take away 3 is 1. Underline it, and that's the solution. Notice how conventionally you try and keep these equal signs in columns. Okay, if you're ever unsure about what order things happen in the sentence or the grammar of the equation, one thing I sort of looked at was just pick some simple numerical example. Say for example 8 divided by 2 plus 3 is equal to 5. Now instead of an x we've written an 8. The order that this sentence, the order that this things happen to the 8 is, first of all it's divided by 2, secondly you add 3 to it. So the first thing that happens is divided by 2, and then you add 3 to the result of that. So to unwrap it or to solve it, we get rid of the second thing first. So the second thing was adding 3, so we take away 3 from both sides. That sort of vaporizes the plus 3. 5 minus 3, which is 2. So we get x divided by 2 is equal to 2. Now to get rid of the division by 2 here, the opposite of dividing by 2 is multiplying by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. See, pretty simple. And the last one, which is a 3-step one. The first thing that happens to x, we multiply it by 2. We double it, then we add 4 to it. Then when you've worked all that out, you divide by 3. That's because this division sign here acts as a kind of a bracket around these two. So you work out what's inside there first, and then you do the thing outside of the bracket. I guess doing a few of these, and you kind of get a sense, you sort of intuitively know the order of these things. Okay, so the first thing we get rid of is dividing by 2. The opposite of dividing by 2 is multiplying by 2. We do that to both sides of the equation, or do the opposite operation to the other side, to the right hand side of the equation. So 2x plus 4 double 5 is 10. Next thing we kill is the plus 4. The opposite of plus 4 is minus 4. So we take away 4 from both sides. 2x is equal to 10 take away 4, which is 6. And then finally we get rid of what's happening to x now, is just getting multiplied by 2. So the opposite of multiplying by 2 is dividing by 2. X is 6 divided by 2, which is 3. That's done.